Okay.
There you go.
Yay! We are live.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't know you'd already hit the button.
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Like,
Seriously, we let in with Command Center 1.
Amazon's gonna friggin' sue us. Or
No.
we're just a giant ad for their products. I don't know which.
Hey, they can sponsor us. I will happily to negotiate a sponsorship from Amazon overly and enjoyably.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I won't need alcohol for that one. Hi,
Hey,
Kathy.
Kathy.
For y'all that don't know, I'm Aeson Knight, and of course we have Techy Joe. This is Mountain Bears, where we talk about everything. And I do mean literally mostly everything. Good evening, Miss Brenda. How are you, honey?
Hi, Brenda. And yeah, so we had our first Patreon live stream Q&A.
Mhm.
So that was fun.
That was very fun.
Yes. Benefits of being a Patreon.
Yes.
But yeah.
And we had our first dinner in the cafe tonight.
Oh, yes, we did. Well, we had lunch in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had disassembled a computer. And was cleaning it. So there was like a vat of isopropyl on the table earlier with parts, and so he's like, "That's it. I'm building my cafe." And I went, "What?" And next thing I know, we have a cafe.
Yes.
Hey, Mika and Shannon. Sorry, just
Yeah.
saw. Y'all both changed your profile photos, and now they're dark. Well, I don't think Shannon changed hers, but Mika's got darker.
Yeah, it looks really great.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're bad. It's just back to back. It took me a second to catch they weren't the same.
Yeah. Kathy, you can always join the Q&As. Just remember to watch the... Have we got you into the break room yet?
Oh, tell me we got her into the break room.
I sent her a link. I don't know if she joined it or not.
Okay, cool deal.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but if you haven't gotten into the break room and you are a Patreon, please make sure to go through your Patreon feed for the break room because you're going to get other content there.
No. Oh, all right. We're gonna get you in.
Yeah,
we'll do it. We will. Yeah, we'll do it.
But no, that's going to be some different things going on in there that you won't see on live streams or YouTube because that's our fun. Also, when we do get merch, you guys are going to know about it first. Patrons are going to get early access to merch because definitely we need some merch. I want a t-shirt that says relationships aren't microwavable.
Well, yeah, and I was supposed to have mugs by now, but hi. Life's been weird.
That's okay. Now you have room to work on that stuff.
I
don't have to worry about cleaning up because, at worst, we'll have it in the cafe.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, because that sometimes happens because what you guys don't see is my laptop is actually sitting on our dining room table.
Yeah. Because your office and the dining room are together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Kathy needs white sage.
Why?
Mm.
Wish order it, Amazon it. It's all over the place. You can even get it at Walmart.
What?
You can buy white sage at Walmart.
Like, is anyone else freaked out that Walmart bills itself as this good Christian company? Yet they tend to have a lot of witchy supplies.
It's Walmart.
I know, but it's a little weird.
Uh-huh. But no, things have been fun. Not liking some of the news I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's been a crazy news week. But before we go into the serious stuff, can we just talk about the fact that Rudy Giuliani standing on stage with the streaks of hair dye running down his face? Yeah, nothing says your lawyer is confident that he is sweating so profusely that hair dye is now becoming liquid again. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how that would happen.
I'm going with cheap hair dye, like just for men. Like he went that route, the hair in a can.
No,
Or not just for men, but the
one that I would go. I don't think so.
Yeah, either that or it was like a rush job and he didn't get to rinse it, and it was like boom.
Well, I would think at his level of income,
you'd think, but it is COVID.
True.
Like we're still in COVID season. So this may be one of those, like, he hasn't been able to get an appointment and was going a little, older.
Mm-hmm. Very older.
Yeah, the hair rinse can be a real nightmare. Now, my grandmother did have that, and that doesn't typically run unless it's just been applied. But you can run into issues with it, like, coming off.
Right. Well, and, you can run into issues with, dye in general. We've had that, especially if it doesn't set right.
Mm-hmm.
It can be problematic.
And yes, Mika, you spelled that right. I knew exactly what you're talking about. It comes in a gray bottle with a pink lid if you're a little old lady. I'm used to that bottle. My grandmother was gunmetal gray for the better part of probably 3 decades. The exact same rinse. She took it to, she made sure that everywhere she went had it.
Mm-hmm.
The worst day of her life was that company decided to discontinue the gunmetal gray line. You do not know how many little old ladies cried because they had
better than that blue
gray.
It's better than that blue, that gray blue. Dear gods, I'm sorry.
Now that has more to do with, I believe, perming older hair that has a grayish, whitish tint to it.
Mm-hmm.
Is because some of it has like a brightening and a warming, which is the blue and the pink. But if you're applying it to hair that is depigmenting, then it just acts like a hair dye.
Right.
That's what I had explained, is it was something about the chemicals, like you had to be careful what kind of perm you use on older hair because you can go blue or pink in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Also why I think a lot of shops will do the rinses and the colors and all that is because you can get a better perm if you use those.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got to be careful if you do a relaxer because you can actually get green. And then you have to take vinegar and rinse it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was funny though. They pulled that line or that color out of their lineup, and yeah, my grandmother's poor stylist, poor Mo. She tried to find comparable colors. And my grandmother hated all of them. Though I will say that I believe the color was champagne.
Mm-hmm.
Looked amazing on her. And she about cried.
Mm-hmm.
Like she hated it so bad, but it was the most natural her hair had looked in decades.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, as in, it was a natural shade. It took to her hair well.
Mm-hmm.
And it went with her features. It didn't make it look like she was trying to look, 50 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a nice, like, older woman hair color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we ain't doing those. I'll probably just still go purple when I'm 90.
And that's fine, too.
Just tell Philo or whatever. Yeah, he's purple.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But no, I did end up having a fun conversation with her stylist once about the fact that Mo, who actually used to cut my hair when I was a kid, did my mom's hair, did a lot of hair for our family, or at least that shop did back in the day. But Mo brought up the fact that we were talking one day while we were waiting for my grandmother to dry about the fact that she had just had a girl come in who had tried to do a home dye job, wanted basically Smurf blue, and that this went badly, stripped the color out, and the girl apparently had gorgeous blonde hair. And she was talking about the fact that for the first time in my life, she said, I've colored a lot of hair. And she said, usually I can understand why someone wants to color their hair. Like they don't have enough highlight. They want to, do something different. Their natural hair isn't all that pretty. Like there's a lot of, she said, but this girl had the most gorgeous hair. And she was like, I was just so sad to see her color it. She said, I almost refused. She's like, because I couldn't do a bottle job that looked as good as her natural color. She's like,
And by the way, just to clarify, we're talking about two different Mo's. This isn't Mo from Earth Magic.
No, not Mo from Earth Magic. I'm talking about her full name is Moselle.
Yeah. But no, I was actually talking with a dude in Cali. We were comparing hair, and I'm wondering if this year's season we're not going to see longer hair come back again.
I would think so. I think the inability, I think people that are able to get into a stylist right now are probably working towards, and I'd say even their stylists are something that'll last.
Right.
Like you don't have to come in every, couple of months and get it cut. But I'd say it's going to be a 50-50 split between basically us. Between people who are just like, I have clippers at home. And people who are like, okay, we need to talk longevity. Like if I can't get back in here for say 3 to 6 months, I need this to go a while. Like it's got to go the distance. Like what can I do? I think that's going to be a legitimate question, especially as we see numbers spike.
Right. And I'm going to tell everybody what L'Oreal, me and L'Oreal have had a relationship forever. And then, so definitely try them. Corn and Silk is wonderful. And, what is that one that we tried? Splat or whatever?
Yeah, Splat.
Yeah, don't use it. It's crap.
Well, it was a beautiful color, but it's a better color for I want to do an event like Halloween or a special occasion, like a game, and you want to go school colors. It's not a real great hair dye. Granted, the Splat colors are a little unnatural to begin with. They're your purples and your blues and your greens and your pinks, and they're really vibrant color. But those don't they come out real quick.
Yeah.
In terms of on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. On everything.
Yeah. So you did purple, and it was a beautiful shade of purple.
Yep.
But what was it? I made it 2 days before I was like, you got to fix this. Because it was getting and soaking into everything. Yeah. It just trashed anything it touched. I didn't think we were ever getting it out of the towels.
Yeah, it came out. Everything came out. That's the problem. It came out on everything.
Yeah, but at least it came out of the towels. That was my, because you'd already washed and rinsed it and done all the things, and it's supposed to be, sad. And you grabbed a white towel, by mistake, without really thinking about it.
Right.
And, dried your hair, and then you're just sitting there like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. And it's like, it happens.
Devin, I'm reading Devin's comments because we're actually going to talk about this in some other areas too.
And hi,
What
Devin.
about Delaware County? Because Franklin County is pretty normally relaxed. What is Delaware County going? Have they gone to only essential also?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kathy had disappearing holy water.
It happens. Although that does make me conjure up if I should make a video on how to make holy water. It's so simple.
Okay. Ooh, Tuesday is going to be shut down Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, they're right there next to Iowa. Now,
Well,
if y'all are not monitoring the news, Iowa is at a 50% positive rate.
as in, of those people showing up to be tested, 50% are COVID positive.
Right.
Like, that's a scary number.
Right.
And like we were doing a little, pre-show conversation on that, and my thought is, or like my first question was, are they doing like you must have symptoms to test, or are they doing free test? And then of the people that are choosing to come test, like, are they self-selecting? Or like, are they just, being overly, judicious with the use of their like, I'm going to go get tested. And many of them are waiting until they already have symptoms. However, that's still, even if you like, sometimes statistics are statistics. It is kind of my point. And sometimes statistics can be flawed.
Right.
But depending upon the number of people that already thought they were positive or could be, that's still a really high number, because that's a lot of tests, isn't it?
Yeah, that's still a lot of tests. They're testing a lot. I'm going to say this. I will go on record. This winter is not going to be friendly.
Oh, yeah.
At all. The ones taking this seriously, take it even more seriously. Like, I think Aeson's going to be not even doing grocery stores within a week.
Very likely.
Yeah. But speaking of grocery stores, they're already starting to run out of stuff. And not your normal, okay, they're out of turkey gravy, they're out of, stuffing. They're out of cleaning supplies. All cleaning supplies. They're out of paper towels, toilet paper. They've been out of wipes forever. Like, Clorox is saying 3 years before they'll get their base stock back up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of, it means it's been a great year for Clorox. Unfortunately, it's one of those too good. Like, this is not a product they ever meant to sell out of. Like, it's, they're yeah. Well,
and paying a quarter a bottle a year ago, and we're paying almost $5 a bottle now.
Right. Well, and that's kind of the thing, is that you have to realize with some products, the quantity on the shelf was really never meant to sell out.
Right.
It was not meant to sell out. No one imagined this product selling out.
Right.
Like, it was meant to dominate that segment of the shelving, and push competing products into a smaller area.
Right.
And basically, make it more expensive for that product, or harder for that product, to really get a foothold.
Right.
Like shelving and like shelving deals are really kind of fascinating if you get into marketing. Like, you would not believe what's going on behind the scenes there for where a product is on a shelf.
Right. Well, what I'm finding even more interesting is some of the older products that are cleaning products that are used for other reasons are even selling out. Like, good thing we've got 2 gallons of vinegar, because there is no vinegar at Kroger's, or wasn't no vinegar at Kroger's yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Listerine.
Well, but we're also in canning season.
Well, we are in canning season. If you can find canning supplies.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying, is sometimes you run into those problems that, like, and again, this is kind of like a double whammy, is like, here's canning season. People will be putting up, some pickled vegetables. And there's a certain amount of vinegar that people end up using during the canning process. I don't know how that works. I just know vinegar's involved. Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. I know.
Mom was so scared of a pressure cooker and a pressure canner that no, I barely remember her canning as a kid. But she did it either while I was at school, or God forbid I even look into the kitchen because she was scared to death it could blow and kill her baby.
Oh goodness! Oh, yeah. Honey, you're going to be traumatized next fall.
Well, but this also goes over to my grandmother. As in, when my grandmother pressure canned, my mother was like, "You're not allowed." Like, if she found out that like my grandmother was canning, I wasn't allowed to go over.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Like the closest I got to that, to canning or and being around that was when my grandmother made apple butter and she sealed hers with paraffin wax. Yeah. So like, again, I'm missing a lot of data there on how canning works. Well, I know some things are required, but I don't understand. Like, I've never been part of the process outside of like the apple butter.
Okay. Well, we'll fix that.
And on the other end of the spectrum, Shannon says, "Damn, my grandma was like, come here. You have to learn to do this so you don't make a shrapnel grenade while canning." Okay, see, my mom was on the flip side of that. She thought all canners were a grenade, and you got lucky if you got food instead of death. Like, that's where she lived at mentally.
Well, see, this is what I always find this funny. So the house that my parents rented when I was a baby, that was closer to Dad's work than the homestead, was haunted. It was confirmed haunted. Mother goes to work. Mother comes home from work. She's working on canning cabbage. She has to stop the process because she hadn't got it into the canner yet. She just had them all getting ready to get them all packed. She goes to pick Dad up from work. She comes back and the cabbage is all canned. Canned, dishes done, everything's put up. So even the ghost in our house knew how to can.
Hey, as long as you're being useful,
Exactly.
Hey, that works. It's a fun haunting.
Exactly.
Not a scary haunting. It's a fun haunting.
It scared Dad so much he decided he was moving back to the homestead, and the ghost threw him in the refrigerator out at the same time and broke his leg.
And Brenda's like, "Oh, I want that spirit." Like, if you get to choose, like, that's a moment of like, if you get to choose your haunting, like, did I get servants? Basically,
Did
I get a maid?
I remember seeing that ghost, if that makes any sense. But it's like those little kid flashes, like you don't really realize. Well, for me, I didn't really realize that the ghost wasn't there. I just figured we had someone else living in our house, which was commonplace.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, that's one of the fun stories, is the canned cabbage that nobody would eat because the ghost canned it.
Whatever.
I know.
Like, that's a real long, like, around the bend effort on the behalf of a deceased spirit to do your canning for you, but do it in a way that the food kills you. Like, that just seems like, granted, okay, dead spirit has a lot of time on their hands, but that just seems really around, a long way around.
One moment, please, dear.
Okay.
You've been in here before. I've blocked your profile before. Stop harassing my listeners, or I will report you to Facebook as a spammer. And you are now deleting. I am now deleting your comment.
There we go. So yeah. But no, ooh, grandma's preserves. Oh. Oh. That's nifty.
Sorry, Mika. We get spam bots once in a while because, you know, they want to come to where good people are.
Basically.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, hi, read the show, read the description, figure it out. Like,
Right.
no, not how this works. Like, hi, if we're going to promote anyone, I mean,
Exactly.
just saying.
Just saying. But no, I don't play games with that. I don't care. We're not going to have bots coming in here, and I'll probably have some reviews from him saying email him for spell work. Aeson doesn't sell spell work.
Yeah. No, it's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of like the mark of success.
First,
the more we get spammed, the more.
Lord knows that's the case.
You're doing something right.
Yep. All right, so we'll take this question from Kathy.
Yes. Kathy 72862 is okay. Is Triz soon, and when do you see him and I meeting in person?
I feel that he does come soon. I'd say probably it's showing the 2 of Wands here, so I'll go 2 weeks. And I feel meeting in person probably within the next 2.5 months because, you know, stuff is going on. All right, on to other news. Oregon's food bank system is crashing.
Ooh.
Yeah, they are so overloaded, they are begging the governor to release Army reserves. Now, for those that grew up in the time when the Army surplus actually did supply the food banks, that used to be a very hard time of the 70s and 80s. We all remember government cheese. Lord knows I'd like to have a case or 2 of that because I've got some recipes that nothing else works.
Fair enough. Well, now those were I always knew them as commodity right. Cheese, commodity peanut butter. They came in the gray can or the gray packaging. Like it was very militant looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest problem we have with that is, does our government still do that anymore? Because that was a process of the reason that it was called commodity. It was an effort to hold prices on those goods. And it was for the government to divert it, was to buy in bulk, divert that out of the market, and then turned it into, through government packaging, you know, like a government-run packaging plan, if I remember correctly, into these commodity items. But do we even do that anymore? Did we I thought we switched totally to cash assistance.
No, they still do it according to Brenda. What it is and what it was it was the surplus from the Army. Like the Army would buy so much of this and so much of that.
Okay.
And then wouldn't need that because we didn't have that many active duty members or whatever, and then it would be returned into the community. Oregon's calling for them to do it. Oregon has been begging them for relief packages, and we've got senators and congressmen that are sitting on their asses.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically. This is all like that, and that's been the recurrent response. Like, and yeah, this is a time in which food banks are going to be hit hard.
Right. Well, they're normally hard during the holidays. That's why you always see the food drive runs. CLS is doing a food drive run. They've always done it for Christian Kitchen or whatever it is there in St. Albans. So things have to get moving and have to get moving fast. We don't have time for dilly-dagging. We don't have time to be meeting at the Four Seasons lawn service for press conferences.
True.
Dad jobs.
Well, that as well. But no, it's kind of it's been a mess. We already had a lot of problems with our food banks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've said that before. You guys can go back and review. I have issues with food banks. And sometimes the food that they are handing out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my problem would not be with like peanut butter and cheese and things like that. That's not my problem. A lot of what I have seen come out of a food bank is very starch based
Mm-hmm.
and very processed food based, with not a lot of fresh anything.
Right.
And the particular instance in which I'm thinking of, the biggest problem was I'm sitting here going, you're creating a cycle of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was for a family that had 2 diabetics in it.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're handing them are potatoes, pasta, a very little bit of meat, more, pre-processed foods, or heavily processed foods. And then you're handing them more pasta and grain and bread, lots of bread, tons of bread.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting here going, this is kind of like the giant list of stuff they should not be eating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not nourishing their bodies. This is just filling their stomachs.
Right.
And it's doing it in a way in which you're like moving the disease progression along.
Yeah, but here's the problem, because my family worked in, we were first family, so our butt was at the food bank. That's what was donated. Like, they would pass out whatever they had donated. And see, the problem is we have grocery stores, especially in this area, that instead of donating the fresh fruits and vegetables,
they create an ugly food bag.
Mm-mm.
No. Oh, the throw out.
Trash them.
Yeah. Well, now Kroger thankfully has their no waste program and the ugly vegetable bags and the ugly fruit bags.
Yes.
So, which is great.
Right. Which is great, I love hitting, and now I've decided to, if I see an oversupply of something we buy often, I got a food processor and a freezer.
And well, true. But yeah, no, and expired canned goods, that's another one. And also just people who like donate stuff that it's like, that's a random. Like, it's so random. Like just the weirdo can, like, and I've seen people do that. They do the pantry clean out, and it's like stuff that's either already expired or really close to expiration, or it's the weirdo random stuff you bought and thought you'd like, but you didn't. And it's like,
right.
Or it's an ingredient to a much more complicated thing. Like, yeah.
It kind of brings up a good point that people don't want fresh veggies up there, but they demand cakes. The problem with it is a lot of people don't know how to cook fresh vegetables.
Well, and there is that. We do have a, deficit in cooking.
Yeah.
And the ability to cook.
Right.
But no, it just got me from a nutritional standpoint. Is I'm looking at this because the whole reason that I ended up being there is this was a drive-through food bank that did not do like stand in a line, direct hand. They wanted you there with a vehicle. You had to go through that line with a vehicle. Okay, their car broke down. I took them. And like, they're handing this stuff through, Like it's like a very long Wendy's line.
All right.
And, they're handing this stuff through. And so I'm touching everything that they're getting, and I'm just sitting there horrified. Like it kicked over in my head. I've been trying to figure out how their diabetes just kept getting worse. They just keep getting increased, blood sugar numbers. They just keep getting put on stronger medication. And I'm sitting here going, remembering side conversations is, most of the food we eat comes from the food bank and we have to get there.
Right.
And I'm realizing, like, okay, if this is 50% or more of your diet, I can tell you why your blood sugar is going through the roof and you're having to use more meds to try to control it. Is everything you're putting in your body is basically is the wrong thing. Like because you can't eat like
available. And I agree. Not pinto beans, lentils. People have a real hard trouble trying to cook those because it's not what they're used to cooking. And now we're going to see a whole different layer of people going through this system that may have never used a food bank before. And I'm going to say this. You need to use food bank, use a food bank. Yeah, sometimes it's an episode of Chop Chef. What can you do with A to B?
Right. Well, and that's the other part of it is none of this is going to be meal based.
Right.
This is kind of you're going to hit the food, and especially if you're doing getting cash assistance on top. It's basically don't spend your cash assistance until you've gone to the food bank, because you're going to be plugging holes.
Right.
Because you're going to get components to cook with, typically components to cook with that need other things.
Right.
So if you start at the food bank, figure out what you've got to work with, and then try to turn that into meals and use that cash assistance, the EBT, the new food stamps, into plug items.
Right.
To fill that into a menu that you can eat. But no, it to me, and that was the other part I realized, is that the way that food bank worked, you basically had to end up like using next month's benefits to use those items.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be in a gap there.
Right.
Like you have to
hit that gap. But that's where you figure out, like, cranberry sauce goes lovely with pork loin or pork of any form. Apples can go on pork chops, especially if they're canned apples. They got juice there. You can make a lovely pork chop out of it, for those that don't know. Pinto beans, you put them on a pot, add water, and cook forever. Mika asked a valid question. Do I think it's going to get bad and we should start stocking up on food and house goods now? I think you should logically stock up anytime. We keep a cabinet, and I've now increased the cabinet size for canned goods.
And there's a difference between trying to stock ahead, just, and trying to like stock up for the next 6 months.
Right.
Like, don't do the 6 month stock up. You're just turning, like, you're contributing to
the shortfalls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That just spurs panic buying, and that becomes a vicious cycle.
Right.
If the shelves are empty, so I should buy anything that's here. So that makes another shelf empty. So the next person comes through and says, I should buy anything I find. And then suddenly you end up with an empty store and a bunch of people with various components that they can't necessarily use.
Right.
But in large quantity.
Yeah. Always remember, if it's a dry good, like a bean or a lentil, you have to soak it the night before. Otherwise, you will kill people. But some things you want to die. Yes. Some things you may have to, what I call, source shop. Weird places you will find groceries you probably never thought about. Big Lots, Dollar General, Dollar Tree has a lovely grocery section.
Mm-hmm.
When we went through the shortage before, nobody was going to, they were all going to Walmart and Kroger. Nobody was going to like Corner Mart, Dollar General, only $1. These are all stores that have small grocery areas in them. Look for your small stores if you start seeing a lot of shortages, because they're going to be the ones last to go out of food.
Mm-hmm. But also be careful with that.
Right.
Like if your local grocery store has cleared on items, like whatever it is, and you're now hitting the secondary stores, please realize that a lot of people who are very, very low income,
Mm-hmm.
this is often where they do all of their shopping.
Right.
So that is definitely not a store to go through and go, oh, they have green beans. I'm going to buy all of them.
Right.
Because now you're affecting a population that's already at high risk.
Well, not only that, but the other part of this is I very much emphasize buying smart, buying low, and never buying out.
Yeah.
Okay, just because there's $100 doesn't mean you spend that only at the Dollar Tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Technically, you need a month's worth of food in the house to be secure. Within a month, anything should be able to stabilize itself, or at least come up to an idea.
Yeah.
So work within that idea of how many times are you going to eat green beans in a month? We eat them 7 times. How much, pasta do you really need? But buy smart.
Mm-hmm. Well, and pasta brings up another good point is measuring your pasta and understanding what a serving of it is. Pasta is one of those foods that's really easy to overeat. Because if you're kind of guessing around on making, and I've done this and I've done it to us, when you're guessing around on the portion size, you can end up making a bit extra. And in that, you may think that I'm going to take this and make a lunch, or I'm going to take the rest of it and make 2 lunches. But what ends up happening is, because it's not pre-portioned clearly, you turn that meal for 2, meal for 4, meal for however, into a meal for the exact number of people that are there.
Right.
And one, you're overeating pasta, which is an expanding food and is easy to overeat to begin with. You're going to stretch your stomach, and you are going to end up wanting more later. Like, pasta is one of the worst, to me, one of the worst foods, just for the fact, and I dearly love pasta, don't get me wrong, I love my pasta. But when you're talking about overeating, pasta is one of the worst foods for creating its own vicious cycle.
Right. And the other thing, and Brenda brings up Great Depressions has hard times and frugal recipes. They're all over the place. And then there's the simple ones that I think we forget a lot of times, like simple bread recipes, biscuit recipes. I'd say this West Virginia has been grown to be poor and groomed to be poor.
Well, and to varying degrees of success in a global pandemic and a lot of shortages.
Yeah.
Like, basically, as long as we keep staples.
Right.
And I mean that in terms of staple foods, not the store, but staple foods, your bread, your flour, your sugar, your milk, your eggs, your butter, these are all component parts to make a lot of different things.
Right. And also remember your chain meals, and that your freezer is your friend.
Absolutely. And especially if you cook things separately to begin with, Like you have a side of this and a side of that. And a meat, it can be really easy to roll those over. Because unlike making the big combined pasta dish, for example, or starting with a casserole, that's a finish item. Like there's nothing else you can do. You can't break that back down into components. But if you start your week with a component meal, and then you turn this into that, and then take more leftovers and turn this into that, you can find yourself going, yeah, it's only like a half cup of peas. Or yeah, it's only a quarter cup of corn. Or yeah, it's only... So instead of eating it or finishing it off or whatever, it can be a component to a next meal.
Yep. All right. First off, we're going to take Gwen's question. And then I'm going to move down the list because there's some comments we need to address very seriously and very goodly. So if you will read Miss Gwen's question.
Okay, well, before I read her question, I do know the current situation. I saw that earlier, and big, big, big hugs. So Gwen's question, 9/18/79. Hey guys, I know I probably shouldn't ask for a reading right now, but I want to know if my thoughts on current situation correct.
All right, honey. And I give it to you as I do. Your thoughts on the current situation shows Two of Swords. There's some things you're not looking at. I do feel the situation somehow has to deal with money or finances. And your final outcome card is the Chariot. So whatever this obstacle is, you will overcome. Just remember, you are a queen. Walk like it, talk like it, and be it. Okay?
Okay. Well, and I may be making assumptions, but yeah.
All right. The Mott household has gone under quarantine because of Mr. Mott. Grumpy, a.k.a. Grumpy Tank, is sick.
You let him out? Or more importantly, the hermit left the cave? Like literally, he left the cave and got sick? Oh. Sorry, you know I had to give you grief for that one. But yeah, again, big hugs.
Big hugs. His butt's going in the cauldron. We'll be burning it later. For those, yes, I do actually put people in cauldrons.
Yeah.
So.
He never left the cave!
Oh, goodness. I hope it's just the crude, because if he never left the cave, then, and if you've been the brave one, hugs, hugs, hugs all around.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Like, well, and that would have to be... Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, Mini Mott could be a little carrier.
Has Mini Mott been tested, please?
Well, that's what she said.
Okay.
Or I believe so. Let me double check. Is temporarily in quarantine waiting for test results to get back. I took that as everyone. Oh yeah, Mini Mott's t-shirt said that she's under quarantine now because her husband tested positive. Oh, see, this is like the horrible thing. Like this is the horrible thing.
This could be a really bad chain.
Yeah. Well, and the possibility is, you know, that like Mini Mott's a carrier. Mama Mott is, you know, just not affected, or, you know, asymptomatic. And then the one person in the house that doesn't go out turns out to also be the one who is a very symptomatic person. And I don't mean to laugh at that. It's just the ultimate in irony.
Right.
And I laugh at strange things because of that.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but it's your way of dealing with seriousness. Sorry, honey, you joke about it all the time. But please push fluids, vitamin D, zinc, needs to be and vitamin C.
Absolutely.
And of course,
Well,
always chicken noodle soup.
oh, yeah, chicken noodle soup's amazing and easy to make.
Yeah.
That's the other thing people forget is chicken noodle soup is like one of your most basic things. Like there's not a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
Like, there really, really isn't. Okay. Oh, yeah, definitely unpleasant for a 7-year-old to get tested. I understand that one. Yeah. So they're waiting for the daddy mott to get tested first.
Yeah.
And then depending upon that, her and the mini mott will get tested. Oh, yeah, I would say the results are a lot more clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I still hate it. Like that is
Totally.
so bad.
Yeah.
That is so bad.
Hmm.
Oh,
Definitely prayers, high energy sent both to Grumpy Tank and the Mod household.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, and I just like if that's what happened, I really hate that for him.
Yeah.
Like that's someone who effectively just is doing everything. And it's like, yeah, this is how easily this spreads. Like it's a chain reaction.
Ooh, so Emily is, I love how she is going to be a positive day. So she's doing Christmas decorations.
Aww.
We're going to be doing more Christmas decorations this year because I've decided it's time to pull out the attic.
Well, I just have to ask, Emily, were you inspired by Mame? Those who know will get the reference. Those who don't won't.
Got to be a Doctor Who thing.
No, it's not a Doctor Who thing.
Ah.
Oh, we watched the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
Ah.
Oh, and oh no, the Thanksgiving and Mayflower special too. Aw,
Ah.
the Pilgrim Pirate Ship. Brenda Bryant got it. She knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to remind people, yes, November has been the traditional Thanksgiving since Roosevelt declared it Thanksgiving. Don't know if the current president has declared Thanksgiving yet. That actually has to be an executive order.
Emily was there too. She got it. I was just curious because that was, as I was reading her comment, that's what went through my head was there's a scene from the musical Mame, and the song is entitled "We Need a Little Christmas Now."
Ah.
You know, haul out the holly. Yeah, it's basically life gets them down, and it's like we're just gonna go with Christmas. Like we're just gonna go with it. Oh yeah, the old version is very awesome. And the musical is just amazing too in general. Like the music from it, like yeah. I like music wise, I like the Angela Lansbury B. Arthur version if ever you find it. That's a hard find. Typically what you find is the movie version. And also good. Also very, very good. B. Arthur is just an amazing singer if you didn't know. Like that baritone can hit some notes.
Yes. But just a reminder for those that are pushing huge Thanksgiving, wait until July. Have a very big Thanksgiving then.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, and we've talked on the show many times before. Our family, or my side of the family, used to do a Marapi Thanksmas. Just because it was easier. We're doing one holiday in the middle of all the holidays, and this is it. We're going to call it Marapi Thanksmas. And I think hopefully 2021, everyone will get to do the Marapi Happy Everything.
Yep. Or as I call it, the World Card Party.
Basically.
Oh, I really like that idea.
That's very cool. I actually knew someone, and I never, well, I've known two people that were year-round Christmasers. One, I was afraid to ask because I got the feeling this was like a time capsule, like something very horrible happened, like either on or before Christmas one year, because this was basically December, at least a decade or two before. The house was decorated for Christmas. Something horrible happened. And it was before Christmas Eve because there were wrapped presents in the whole 9 yards. Like it looked set for, and yeah. I was afraid to ask them about that because I thought there had to be a lot of trauma there. Now, another friend of mine was actually, and I forget what the story was, but Christmas was a big holiday, and it was like a horrible event happened. And out of that, he developed this real strong love for Christmas. Like, interestingly enough. And so all about the gnomes, all about this, like anything Christmas, like little mini trees all around the house. And they moved and changed and got dusted. The other friend, the reason I was afraid to ask is it's literally like that living room got turned into a museum.
Wow.
And no one went into it. Like you like no one was allowed in that room. Nothing's been dusted, moved, or changed in at least a decade. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to know how much trauma that had to be. So yeah, I can certainly understand wanting to hold on there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And just have that like last. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. I don't remember the tree, Emily. I don't think I didn't get into the living room for much. I love her study though. Like that was a gorgeous study.
Oh yeah, the study was gorgeous. Now I will say though, I've known people that do like a permanent year-round tree and just decorate it for the next holiday. Like they have the artificial tree and it just rolls. Like there's an Easter tree and there's a this tree and a that tree and a blah 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 tree and a you name a holiday, they will find ornaments for it. They will.
Well, that's an idea because I'm bringing the Douglas down this year.
Ooh, we're putting up the big tree?
Yeah, we're putting up the big tree.
Okay.
Yeah, the sewing station's coming down. The big tree is going up.
Aww.
Yeah. Unless I can figure out how to freight ship something. Have y'all guys heard about the poor tree at Rockefeller Center?
No. What happened to the Rockefeller Center tree?
Its branches are already falling off. Yeah.
Ooh. That isn't a like sign of the year.
a poor little owl got trapped in the tree in shipping. Yeah, this tree has been terrible. But it did get catty back on Twitter this morning. Like people were taking pictures and making fun of the poor tree. It got catty and snapped back.
Oh God! Dropped a limb on someone.
Ooh.
Oh wow. But yeah, no, I can understand the holidays being like or having a propensity towards like this one holiday just cannot behave itself. I can understand that.
Yeah.
A lot of one could say I go into mourning every October 16th and I come out of it every February 19th.
Yep.
So basically Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas and to some degree Valentine's Day, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
but those holidays are basically ruined for me.
Right.
Yeah. And that's like, I do it every year. I go back into mourning. A little less every year. Like the first 5 years after mom died, it was really bad. Now it's more like a fluctuation of mood. Like
Mm-hmm.
a little more somber from the 16th of October to February 19th.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't, well, just to clarify, mom died on the 16th of October. She was born on the 19th of February. So every year I go through this cycle. Oh, so yeah, basically it's sounding like the Rockefeller tree is a giant Charlie Brown Christmas tree. And if that isn't, and that's kind of like, that's where I heard it at. Like it's a ginormous.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So apparently a CPS case where they did a home study and the parents got dinged for having the Christmas tree up in April.
Right.
You know, like that one I think is like, let's talk, like, as in let's talk about the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we talking about this poor defenseless Douglas pine from the dead tree lot got left up until April and it's technically a fire hazard now because God knows it has to be barren and just depressing looking? Are we talking about, like it's a artificial tree?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people need Christmas all year long. Sometimes you just need a little Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a weird thing for like someone to get dinged on. Like that's a weird one.
Right. Well, the CPSs ding people for crazy reasons. They're
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, if that's like a sign of like problems in the home, I mean, and I can understand that.
Right.
Like if you're like in April, the house is still decorated, like, or half decorated for Christmas, and there's like, a Halloween pumpkin, decaying on the front steps, and all these other things are gone wrong in the house. I could understand that being part of the report, but yeah, like I would hope it was more than just that. Like sometimes bad crap happens.
No. Kathy, we don't know. We haven't heard. I'm sure that she will return with something bouncing and on her lap.
And going back to Mika, technically a cusp.
Yeah.
Yeah, mom was a cusp. She was right there on the line.
But and Emily's birthday. She's New Year's Eve baby.
So it's happy new birthday year. Oh my God, so glad this year is finished.
Yes.
Got you there. I think that's going to probably end up on a t-shirt for most people. Like, I think, oh my God, this year is total. Oh my God, so glad this year finished. Hashtag is probably going to end up being a shirt that it sells well for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but we got to see what 2021 is going to be doing.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and yeah, like that's been a lot of people's conversations. Is like this has been multiple years of like blah.
Mm-hmm.
And like for the last few years, I think everyone's ended the year like, oh, thank God. Next.
This
and then they get into the next.
My prediction.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone else's prediction. Oh, this is looking at just January. Let me go back. Yeah, I'm going to Astroform.
Okay. So this is someone else's 2021 prediction?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's a 5-year.
Oh.
In a 4-year, we're moving to a 5-year.
Mm-hmm.
Although everybody will be affected differently, normally in a 5-year, we feel more freedom. More ways to make change. Things are a lot lighter than a 4-year, but it's also a time for hard work.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will probably be putting together something numerology for 2021 and probably astrologically too, because we all get that in there together.
Well, now Emily calls herself the Kathy was asking, was she the tax baby savior? And she was like, no, I was born on the morning of the 1st. I was the tax baby ruiner. And I'm like, yeah, but 18 years later, you were a full-grown adult, and you had your parents got one more year.
Yep.
Just one more year of the tax savings.
Well, I think her mom got all the way till she was 26 because she was still in college.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not back then. Sorry, I don't mean to make Emily sound old. She's like literally like 5 minutes older than I am. But no, 18, you like that was it. Like I was no longer a dependent on my father's taxes. He was like, well, what use are you now? To me, are you now? Yeah.
Yeah. We won't talk about your father tonight. I'm not in a good my tongue ring's already sore.
Oh, wow. She did get till 24 because she was in college. Yet, no, I did nothing for my father financially. Like, I turned 18, and as far as his taxes were concerned, I was useless. I was, no. You're just a liability I don't have to pay for anymore.
Yeah. Well, Brenda, if you were born in a 5-year, yes, but I'm going to probably break it down for y'all. I don't know. I'm planning my December content right now because, we have December and January. There's a lot of content that has to go out. I am going to be offering a special 2021 astrology readings like I did for 2020. If anybody's interested, that ad will probably run Black Friday.
Oh, good deal.
Yep. Now, you were talking about something earlier today I wanted you to go into.
Oh.
About not buying a computer right now or anytime around the holidays.
Yeah. So here's the thing. One, if you're looking at buying or building a computer, please don't do it now. I know everyone wants to open the big happy box with the big new computer and no, please don't. Buy gift cards for a computer now. Wait until after the 1st of the year. Till February would be good. If you can hold out. I know it's the year of like everyone needs a computer. But if you can hold out until February, prices will change dramatically between now and then compared to what you're buying. Now here's what happens, or typically happens. Now 2020 is a bit of a wrench in the works, but every store you see that has a Black Friday computer deal, don't ever buy that computer. Please don't ever buy that computer. No one should buy that computer. And here's the reason why. It is an amazing price because it is an amazing pile of crap. It is typically like what do we have the most of that we need to get rid of? Parts special. What that can often turn into is that system is so maxed out, there is no room to improve it. 2, everyone else is buying a computer right now because they want the happy Christmas, like, yay, I got a computer, thanks mom and dad moment. The problem with that is that drives demand. So if you miss the Black Friday part special, then you turn around and you're looking at everything else on the shelf. Everything else on the shelf is now marked up, way up. If you're looking at buying components, realize that we're in a, what is it, a 2 console release this Christmas? Yeah, so the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox are both coming out. I already know that the new PlayStation is using NVMe hard drives, which are a different form of SSD. Looks more like a memory chip than it does like what you would think of as like a hard drive. This is a big change for console systems. NVMe drives are the new standard in desktops and laptops especially. What this is doing is it's going to inadvertently put a pull on the market for hard drives. What that means is right now hard drive prices are already creeping up.
Right.
And by the time we get to Black Friday, those prices are probably going to be maxing.
Right.
Because everyone's trying to do their just-in-time delivery to stores of brand new, shiny, looks great under the Christmas tree hardware.
Right.
So with that, and especially if you're looking at a laptop, that means you're going to be paying a lot of money for very little storage. That's going to be a big chunk of that total price.
Right.
Is your storage. You're like, if you need a lot of storage on that machine and you're kind of having to choose by total storage, you're going to see those prices jump massively from level to level of storage. And what you'll often see is a lot of the machines, when there's a part like that that's super expensive right now, what you'll see is it'll get paired with higher end components. So you're not just buying like this basic computer with a really big, like really high storage. You're buying this super computer because it has the storage you want.
Right.
And it's way more than maybe you need to spend or look at or need, or given the situation, way more computer than, you know, that person needs.
Right.
Just because you want to store photos.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. Other things I want to talk about while we're talking about the holiday season. Yes, Aeson does have gift certificates. Patreon members need to contact me directly because your prices are different than what's on the site. Because you guys get discounts. Unfortunately, those have to be applied manually. So please message me directly so that you can get your discounts, which go up to 15% depending on your bracket, from 5 to 15%. So gift certificates are going up. I'm working on a page just for that. Or you can purchase a email reading for anyone and then they can claim that. Again, those are done manually for Patreons because we give you a great discount for being a supporter. And yeah.
Quick note for Mystic, and we haven't quite talked about this, but I'm sure you'll get it real quick. I had an experiences with my first computer, and because of that, I am available if anyone does get a Christmas computer. I am available Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. So, and anytime in there.
Right.
I will make sure to try to help in any way I can. Granted, at normal service rates, but I am open and available. And that's because when I got my first computer, way back when, a little baby techie and that didn't know it yet, I had no clue what I was doing, and I had the Christmas paperweight. Is basically what I got. And for 2 weeks, I had a computer I couldn't do anything with. So, and that was because the shop that custom built it and sold it, I thought it was broken. I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't understand. I didn't know enough to know what the problem was.
Right.
So I'm always available on those holidays for at least quick troubleshooting.
Right. And the discount extends over to Mystic for Patreons.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Very awesome. All right. We got a question.
Oh, good deal. So Devin 31678. My job can't keep people in our department, housekeeping. We now have a temp service coming in to help out. I wonder if they will just contract housekeeping and if I should worry about possible job loss.
No, you have a bigger worry than possible job loss. And that bigger worry is that you may get bumped to where you're having to manage more people, Devin. Looking at this, it's showing, they're looking at money and who's working and who's able to work, and then wanting to start them into something newer and bigger. So your department may turn into what I call a supervisory department. So negotiate that.
Okay.
Okay. Mika, good question. Joe, go ahead and read that one.
Okay. Do you prefer us to do readings through Keen or through your website?
If you are a Patreon, I'm going to say go through the website and set an appointment so that you can get your discount.
Because you can't do that on Keen or any other network.
Any demand services, I can't control what you're being charged. Not any longer. Back in the day, I used to be able to do things like 99-cent sales and, a lot of that type of thing. That's no longer how the networks work.
Right. And especially on because the next thing someone might throw is some of the networks allow you to send free minutes and stuff. And here's the thing with that is because you would be getting this as a benefit of being a Patreon sponsor, most networks are going to see that as effectively you're buying minutes outside the system. And he basically can get terminated from any of the networks for that.
Right.
They're not a fan of that. They don't like that kind of setup.
Right. That's why Keen is always my on-demand network. They give me a lot of leeway. Keen's a really great network to work for. They're a great service provider. But no, Patreon benefits have to come directly through my site.
Yeah. And if anyone is a reader, just keep that in mind. Don't go selling your free minutes outside.
Yep.
That is a quick, ugly way. But yeah. And Devin says, and the X still hasn't reached out.
He will. Just let him stew. Let him stew that pot. But no, is looking at doing outsourcing if they can, but they're going to keep people in-house, especially for housekeeping and stuff like that, because you just can't call a temp agency up and say, send me somebody to take care of this problem.
Well, and temp agencies can be great for seasonal demand. And depending upon the position, they can be a great way to find employees that have been well vetted and, background checked to hell. But what a lot of companies find with temp services is they're paying a whole lot of money for those temps.
Yep.
The temps aren't making a whole lot of money.
Right.
It's typically they're making 1/3 or less of what the company is being charged for them. And then depending upon the temp service, you actually have to buy that employee off of the temp service.
Right.
And those fees can be really, really high. So a lot of businesses currently, or at least anymore, will use a temp service to fill a void, but this isn't going to be their exit strategy. Especially not if you're talking about under hundreds of employees.
Right.
This is just going to be their stopgap so that the service need is met.
Right.
And then they're going to do some secondary thing to get rid of the temp service without having to pay them any more than they already have.
Right.
But yeah. But I did want to jump back to Shannon's thing real quick. Now she's saying that I try to wait until April or May income tax money. But COVID ruined her plans last time. Talking about buying a computer. Yeah. Here's the fun thing with income tax time, and I always bring this up, and it's not directed at Shannon, it's just a general. Tax money season, as it's called, runs from February to roughly the end of April. So by the 1st of May. There's a lot of specials and deals that'll happen during that time. Everyone, it's an assumed thing is that everyone's going to get a refund. The other thing to also think about that is if you have any kind of debt, specifically bad debt, and again, this isn't aimed at Shannon, this is a general. She just happened to bring it up. From working in a debt collections agency, it's also known as settlement season. So typically they will be running some kind of special on settling your bad debt accounts. That can be anywhere from a 30% settlement to a 50% settlement. Typically, it's at least 20%. Most won't go any lower. Like they won't do 5 and 10. It's not worth sending the letters. But you may also, if you have any debt sitting around that's fairly new, within like 2 years, if you've gotten a collections letter and you've been thinking about paying it, February to the end of April is a good time to call your debt collector and talk to them about a settlement because they're in settlement season. Also, if you're ever calling a debt collector and you're trying to negotiate a settlement, call on the last working day of the month. This is called end of month. Every single debt collection agency runs on a commission basis. You will more than likely, even if someone has already hit their goal, is trying to be the top performer of the month, and they'll work with you because they're trying to bring in as much money at the last minute and set up as many payments, especially payment in full or settlement in full, as they possibly can on the last working day of the month. Because they want a TV.
The last day of the month.
Yeah, because they want a TV. They want a free lunch. They want a whatever. Like basically, fun thing about debt collectors. Just a side note: these are the same people who sell used cars. These are the same people who lost their shit selling wrapping paper in high school and being the top seller and trying to beat everyone out and trying to whatever. This is the same mindset. So they're especially vulnerable on the last working day of the month. Just say it.
Yeah.
Just always keep that in mind.
Okay. We got another one.
All right, so Mika 22082 says, I'm working for my old department again. I was wondering if I will get to go back there permanently. And I was wondering also, will I be able to continue to work from home after COVID is over?
I feel you stay with this old department. You really should just be your new department. After the first of the year, I think the company is going to go through a lot of shifting. They're going to be looking at their profit margins. They're going to be looking at what COVID has produced for them. And I feel like you will be able to continue to work from home because they will find it more valuable.
All right. Well, and we've talked about that a lot of businesses are expecting to continue like work from home. They're thinking this may have been the big shift.
Well, not only that, but I've talked to a lot of CEOs and been in a lot of streams and conferences with CEOs, and they're talking about their bottom lines, even though it's COVID. When they get to the bottom line, it's better for the business.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think a lot of businesses were struggling with the work from home idea because they were afraid that employees would abuse it to death.
Right.
And while there are some studies that show that productivity is down, I think a lot of companies are also having to weigh that against, like, we were really driving productivity over the edge,
Mm-hmm.
and we're also generating a cost savings.
Well, not only they're generating cost savings, and only productivity is actually appearing to be up.
Oh, is that the newest? Because I'd seen one that said that productivity was dropping a little.
Yeah.
Which, to be expected, you just pushed a big portion of your workforce into a situation they aren't familiar with.
Right.
So there's going to be hiccups and glitches and trying to find balance and
Yeah, and
like
not that, but there was a lot of fear in industries for going work from home. Like, will people actually be at their desk?
Yep. Work from home can be a wonderful thing. You do have to like develop a little discipline around it. You do have to understand that, no, your boss isn't sitting there waiting and, ready to spring on you at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to kind of remember that, yeah, you still have to do the work.
Yep.
And also you have to create a space for it.
Right.
Like that's the biggest key is you have to create a space for it. You have to have a workspace that you can walk away from.
Yep. Good night, Emily. We will keep you in our prayers. Please keep us up to date with Grumpy Tank.
Yes. Well, and in general, let us know how you guys are doing.
Yep.
And big hugs to the mini mont.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. All right. And Devin has a question.
Okay.
All right, 31678. My great niece may have COVID. Her symptoms were too mild. They would not test her. Is she going to be okay? She's 7.
I feel she will be okay, but understand I am not a doctor. Symptoms are normally mild. Normally is a good thing, although you want to keep a close eye on it. And then, of course, after she gets better, talk with the doctor about getting the blood tests for antibodies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Poor Emily. Oh, she's having to force the grumpy tank to, like, at ease.
Uh-huh. Forced R&R is always hard. They don't know how to do it, honey.
No. Oh.
All right, guys. Let's. Yeah, we're hitting that mark, so let's hit the.
We are. So, of course, we want to thank our Patreon sponsors, Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, and the Crystal Lotus Shop, located at 89 Old Main Plaza in St. Albans, West Virginia. If you're in the area, make sure you stop in and check them out. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how to become a Patreon sponsor, please visit PCSPnetwork.com.
And I will be doing a guest spot over on Dottie the Psychic's live stream on Monday. We are celebrating an anniversary of the network. So I don't know what we're going to do with it. That'll be tomorrow. I'm going to reach out and see if I can maybe get some of the old coffee shop hosts to come in. We'll see. Might do a special live stream. Again, we'll see. But you guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight and having a great night. Rest well. Take care of yourselves. Please drink water. Please wash your hands. Please wear a mask. And remember, we will get through this. Good night, y'all.
Good night.